Welcome back. We're going to start this semester with Chapter 11. Why are we skipping? Because I want to start geometry. I enjoy geometry. I'm hoping I can convey my energy and my love for geometry because when I used to teach it, I really enjoyed teaching it. So we're going to start with some angle review. Most of this I would hope that you have seen. If not, maybe you forgot you heard about it. We're going to go over it anyway because it is on the state test, so these are things we need to know. So we're going to review some angle stuff. We're going to start with some key terms. So formed when two rays share a common endpoint, that's an angle. And I don't like to, if I can avoid writing words, I do. And so from here on out, you'll most likely see me draw a little angle with an arc through it. That symbol means angle, or I won't put an arc through it and I'll just draw it like that. But normally I put the arc so that you know I'm not drawing an L. And so this is most likely what you will see me draw. Again, that means angle. Formed when two rays share a common endpoint. So there's ray 1, there's ray 2, and there's our common endpoint. And so that creates an angle. That space between our rays, that's what we call an angle. So an angle that measures less than 90 degrees, that's what we call an acute angle. And so those are our small angles that, I don't know why I put the little arc in that one. Those are our small angles that are less than 90 degrees. One way to remember that is, aw, cute, because we normally say that with like small kitty, little kittens or little puppies. They're little cute animals. So an angle that measures 90 degrees, we call that a right angle. And so that's an angle that looks very similar to this. And you know it's a right angle if they put a little box in it. If it doesn't have the box, you cannot assume it's a right angle unless you're measuring the angles and it truly is a right angle. An angle that measures greater than 90 but less than 180, that is an obtuse angle. And so that would look maybe something like this. There are multiple ways to draw these angles, but that may be an option. And an angle that measures 180 degrees, that's what we call a straight angle, because really technically it forms a straight line. So here's our straight angle, or at least the best I can do on my tablet. Okay, so these are our terms that we're going to be using. And I am going to apologize because, yes, I said that this is review. There may be some where I actually start calling the rules and stuff by the theorems that you learn in geometry, and just keep in mind that that just puts you in a better place come your geometry class in high school. It won't be the first time you've heard the terms. So to be successful with angles, we have to know how we name angles. So there are 3 ways we can name angles. The first and easiest is if it is solely one angle, like this one, like all of them I drew over here. If it is solely one angle, I can name it by the vertex. And so that vertex is that common point. So I can name it just angle P. I can also name it using all 3 points. When I do that, I have to make sure P is the middle. So I can do Q, P, O, or I can do O, P, Q, but I cannot do O, Q, P, or P, Q, O. Those do not work. No. The P, the vertex, has to be in the middle. The vertex, must, be the middle. There's no changing that. That is an always and a must. All right, so This is a protractor. Why do I have to show you this measurement tool? Because we're going to be talking about measuring angles, and this is what we use to measure angles. Key things: your vertex should line up here in the center. Vertex line up. And then your ray, one ray, should line up with this bottom line. So line up a ray here. And then from there we follow to the second ray and we state what the angle measure is. Notice that our protractor has our this one has our angles going both both directions, and the reason for that is so that it is easier in case, depending on what direction your angle is opened. So let's practice measuring angles. So I've got a few angles I want us to measure, and then we're also going to talk about the type or classify the angle based on its measure. So we're going to find the measure, and when we talk about the measure of an angle, we put M in front of the angle sign of CAB. We're going to find the measure of angle CAF, the measure of angle CAE, and the measure of angle CAH. Now, the reason they all start with CA is just because with our numbers on this protractor only going the one direction, this just makes it easier for us to read and we're not having to do any mental math. A is our vertex, so notice it was the middle of all of these, and our vertex is lined up in the middle of our protractor. So then from here, CAB is this angle right here, and so it measures 20 degrees. How do I know? Because ray AB goes through at 20 degrees. So then if I do CAF, so here's F, so that ray AF is going through at 130 degrees. So that's my angle measure for that one. CAE, that goes through at 90 degrees. And CAH is our straight line, so that would be, and there's its measure at 180 degrees. So that's how we measure. Yes, we could have done something like GAH, and then done a little bit of subtraction. 180 minus 160 means that this is also a 20-degree angle. But like I said, it was easier. If we had the other protractor from the last slide, we would have been able to go both directions. So the next thing I want us to do is to classify. So classify just means, is it acute? Is it obtuse? Is it right? Is it straight? And so looking at this first one, being that it's 20 degrees, that's less than 90. So this is going to be an acute angle. CAF was 130, so that's greater than 90 but less than 180, so we call that an obtuse angle. CAE was a 90-degree angle, which is a right angle. And CAH was 180 degrees, and that's our straight angle because it makes a straight line. Pretty easy to remember. And that's how, if you see classify the angle, this is what it's talking about. All right. In our next video, we're going to talk about the angle addition postulate, supplementary and complementary angles, and so we'll see you there.